I'm joined now by Coach Averion Hurts from Channelview High School and also Jalen Hurts' dad. Coach Hurts, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I brought you here for a few reasons. Super Bowl 57 is coming up on Sunday, and your son is one of the two quarterbacks dueling it out. First, let me start by asking you, did you see this in his playing cards at all?
No, no. I mean, I just, he's a kid growing up, love football. You get in there, you start playing, he start growing physically, and so you just hope that he had the opportunity to maybe go to school for free, because I ain't have a college fund, and so that's all I cared about. And once he got his first offer, it was an opportunity. I knew he'd go get an education and do better for himself. Everything after that, that was on him.
Okay, so we're going to get into a few things here, but you said coming out of high school, you were your son's coach, obviously, in high school. Texas high school football, we have two quarterbacks representing Texas high school football on the big stage, and you are obviously a coach of a Texas high school football stage team. What does it say for Texas high school football to have two of the most important players in the Super Bowl, in the biggest game, being from the Lone Star State?
Oh no, I think it's a big deal. It speaks volumes for what we do in Texas as coaches, or the talent that we produce out of Texas. And that goes to all the other quarterbacks in the National Football League that are from Texas. It's just it's paying homage to everything that we do out here, and it's a great deal to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I do have a question for you. What region, I don't want you to get in trouble, but what region of Texas do you think has the best football? Here, I honestly think it's Beast, Texas. I'm not saying that for favoritism. I'm also from Beast, Texas, Longview Lobo. But who do you think has the best regional?
Oh, Greater Houston area by far. It's Greater Houston, Golden Triangle. It's down south.
It's down south. As long as it's Texas, I'm with it.
Definitely.
I'm with it. Let's get into it. Straight into it. Big Super Bowl game. The storyline is history. Two black quarterbacks facing off for the first time ever, and it took 57 Super Bowls. You're obviously a strong black dad leading his son. How do you feel about Jalen making history in just, on the Mecca, on the biggest stage there is?
It's truly humbling. From the standpoint, I saw Doug Williams' interview, and he was the first, black quarterback to start in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So to sit here now that knowing we got Super Bowl next week, you got two quarterbacks starting, and then, they happen to be black, and then they happen to be from Texas. It's a blessing. It's a great deal. And then it's Black History Month, so.
It is Black History Month. I do want to go off on that. There are a few misconceptions. We'll get to one of the first ones now. Black quarterbacks. If you look at the history of the league, a lot of people said black quarterbacks are, more athletic, wide receiver, running back. Let's give him one of the more, athletic positions. But your son, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, we could go on and on. Nowadays, I think on starting day, 11 black quarterbacks started. Nowadays, black quarterbacks are changing the narrative, and now it's on the biggest stage. How do you think the league just has evolved when it comes to how they think of black quarterbacks?
I want to say that, one profound African American said that a change was going to come. So, it's that time. And it's a thing of the evolution of football, and kids nowadays are bigger, stronger, and faster. They're more athletic, and so there are still situations where as people now say, the traditional quarterback, or the old perceived quarterback, you're successful, but those numbers are dwindling, and that's not even by color. It's some athletic cats. People don't. Aaron Rodgers is athletic. Joe Burrows is athletic. So cats are moving around a little more nowadays, and so it's a different animal. And so you want a quarterback that can get himself out of harm's way, and that's where we are.
Oh, for sure. Another misconception here, might as well hit the second one, is, in black communities, a stereotype I would say is that black fathers aren't active in their homes. Here we are, two black quarterbacks making history, starting going head to head in the Super Bowl, and both dads are very active and very strong black role models. I mean, what can you say to that?
You know, it's an unfortunate situation that I can't say is not there because I have kids that I coach that, you know, me and my coaches are their male role models. And we embrace it and we understand it. And I also have a bunch of, I have some fathers that are there that I might hear from too much. But, in the same token, it's a deal where, you know, that's a tough one. I always say it doesn't take a man to make a baby, it take a man to take care of one. And you don't have to be a married couple to take care of your son, but and that's, regardless of your nationality. But, it's just an unfortunate situation we have going.
Absolutely. But I mean, you're on the bright side of it, of course. I mean, how important is it to be on this national stage and to have, people looking up to you for being that strong black dad?
It's humbling and I appreciate it. Um, for me, I've just been daddy, so it's hard for me to, when it gets wider than that, it's like, okay, I appreciate it totally, and thankful for it. But, you know, I just want, take care of my kids. You know, that's the most powerful word to me is daddy. You know, other than that, I mean, when your kids and they need you, they need something, they call you, whether it's advice or an opinion or whatever, daddy. So that means a lot. And so, I hold that near and dear to my heart.
Okay, so you talked about, kids calling you and whatnot. I know a big way to judge how somebody was raised is how they handle adversity. So let's go back in history for a minute. The season is 2018. Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback for Alabama, and he gets benched in the championship game, and Tua, brings Alabama to that championship. I mean, what was his feeling in that moment, and what did you say to him as a dad to just keep going?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing with that situation was, I knew how he felt at that time, and it was hard on me, and as a coach, I'm like I pull him too, but going through it, I knew how he was going to handle it, just because of how he is, and he held his head up, he handled it. The other part is I understood that there was going to be an emotional component dealing with that, and so because I had mine. But you can't have it on TV. So it's a deal where he handled it appropriately. And as I look at it, Ashley, everything he's gone through, God has put in his path for him to go through. He's never been stuck in it, and so I've always told him, you're not stuck in this situation. It's just something that God has for you to go through. And it's been some challenges, but he's made it through. And whenever he comes out of that situation, he's usually stronger.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
that's truly a blessing. So I'm just proud of him and happy for him and his teammates.
In that moment, did he think maybe, was this a conversation y'all had that maybe, his future was over?
No, the question is, what are we going to do now? We're going to take some time. We'll figure it out. And so, we figured it out and we did our due diligence. It was, an informed decision, and we stayed for the next year. Got great coaching. They had, for the first time they had a specific quarterback coach. So Coach Dan, shout outs. And he came in and, when he came back in that, SEC championship game,
Mm-hmm.
he was prepared to play. And then it was time to go on to the next chapter.
And he led them back to that SEC championship over Georgia.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, so let's move to his professional years, obviously. Last season, he came in, finished off the season, and after the season, the Eagles lost in the playoffs, the question was, is Jalen Hurts, the next quarterback of the Eagles? A lot of people weren't sold on it. It was, give and take. Some people were, some people weren't. But the off-season transformation, obviously, Jalen Hurts was a formidable athlete before then, but the off-season transformation, what happened in the off-season? Because he is just so much more polished. The decision-making is better. Like, what was the training like in the off-season? And did he just say, this is my moment, I have to take it now?
The training and everything was good, but the bigger factor is the fact that, he played for me. And so he heard one voice constantly. Well, the next 6 years of his life, he had 7 offensive coordinators. So I always wanted to see what he looked like playing in the same system for more than 1 year. And this is what we're seeing now. And so it's a matter of, in coaching, we say when things slow down from here up, everything else speeds up. And so now it's just that he has a better understanding. It's like going into class, you know, as a teacher say you're going to algebra 2. You can't go to algebra 2 without algebra 1. But now if every year you have a new, you know, coach, you're learning from from the ground level. So it's a great situation. I'm just happy for what they're doing.
I mean, take us into his mind a little bit. You mentioned it, different offensive coordinators for 6 to 7 years, and yet, success is what we saw from Jalen Hurts. I mean, what does that do to you mentally every year having to learn a new system?
It shows that it dispels the old narrative that, black quarterbacks weren't intelligent enough to pick up stuff. Because, for him to do what he's doing, he's got to be kind of, he's got to have some stuff going on upstairs. And so he's a very sharp young man. And so, that part there, if you just sit back and look at it, it's like, okay. The Alabama stuff was different. It's just different people. The verbiage tried to say the same. They tried to keep it the same because that way Coach Saban could understand what was going on if the verbiage stayed the same. When he went from there to Oklahoma, that's a foreign language. But, he had the intellectual ability to get it. So, just a testament to him and who he is as a person.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about coaches. The Eagles' current quarterback coach, Brian Johnson, you also coached him?
Yes. Coached him at Baytown Lee his junior and senior year. And, that was a blessing for that hire from the standpoint that Jalen's a different cat. As how I framed it to Coach Saban, to Coach Riley. And Brian understood who he was. And so you get new coaches in and they're trying to, build a relationship and they wonder why he's the way he is. Well, he could he understood and could tell them and help bridge the gap. And so that's a big part of where they are today.
Oh, absolutely. You got to get into the mind of your leader, your quarterback. So Jalen, you talk about he's a different cat. He is a different cat. We are in Black History Month, and we're talking about, the history he's making. But he also has an all-female management team, and him making it to the Super Bowl makes his agent the first Black female to represent a Super Bowl quarterback, a quarterback in the Super Bowl. I mean, this is another thing when it comes to strong Black dads. I saw in 2020, you had a female kicker starting on your varsity football team. I mean, talk to me about you and your son making sure you're inclusive in the world of football.
For me, our kicker got hurt. She was on the team. I want to kick. And she's such a sweet girl, soccer player. And she was like, okay, I want to kick. So we did it. She was our best onside kicker. Our kicker got hurt. So it was like, okay, well, you get what you want. So then it was like, y'all better not let her get hit. Y'all better not. Do not let her get hit.
I know that's right.
She did a great job. And, for him, I think it just happened organically. Nicole came in. And when Nicole came in and she won us over. And so she was hungry. She was on the grind. You understand how that profession can go. And so it was like, okay, you got someone that people look at as a challenge and you're in a challenge situation. So it's kind of a, match made in heaven.
Oh, for sure. I love that about Jalen. Absolutely love it. I mean, what is it about him that separates him from the pack? I mean, obviously the Eagles' most dominant team in the NFC this year, and it was noticeable when he was gone. But what is it about him that separates him from the pack?
I won't say he's separated from the pack, but the one thing I will attribute is that he has, and a lot of guys do, but he has an extraordinarily discipline about him. He has a great, he's very determined. And when he focuses in on something, he locks in and he's willing to do whatever he's got to do to achieve it.
Okay, so the discipline, do you think that, it helps that he was a coach's kid? Because I would assume that you had him around all the time when y'all watching tape and, going through film and, in practices, in the locker room. Do you think that attributes to his football IQ?
I think him growing up in the field house helped and always being around it. And I think that once he was intrigued with the sport of football, I think he sought knowledge out on his own, listening to conversations, you know, timeouts on sidelines, and he was a ball boy. He'd listen, especially when his brother was playing. And so he listened to the conversation that was going on. And I think, I never really realized that he was paying attention to that magnitude, but he was. So
I mean, Jalen is obviously not your only child. You have three kids. Averion Hurts, though, Jr., he has local ties to East Texas. He was quarterback here at Kilgore College. And now he's a quarterback developer. How proud are you of your kids? That's his title. How proud of you are of your kids? And kind of did Averion kind of help when it came to the molding of Jalen?
he inspired him. He had a phenomenal senior year. He had like 3,500 yards in 10 games. And, we kind of set Houston on fire. We couldn't get out, but we set it on fire. But he looked up to that and that set a high bar for him. But, it's kind of like brothers, they're 4 years apart. So it's a deal where you there every day and you bicker and do all that. Then when his brother went to Kilgore, then all of a sudden their bond became better, because he was out the house. So it's like, oh, now I miss all the problems and stuff. So no, it's a unique situation, and same with the sister, because she's young, she's 18. So it's like, okay, now, so Jalen's 24. So it's like, okay. And so now they all, have their great relationship together and their, you know, group chat. Yeah, but no, it's a good deal. But he looked up to him, and he handled things the right way. And they're different, people. And so that was one thing. And Jalen's the kind of person said and looked at, okay, yeah, his brother used to talk. So I'd fuss at him in practice, he talked back. And so I'd get after him. And his friends, his teammates be like, now, you got to go home with it. But he wouldn't say anything at home. I'd fuss at Jalen. Jalen just be like, he wouldn't say anything. So then I had to shut up. So then it's like, okay, that ended wrong. I can't say anything. So, they're, different personalities. But, I've been fortunate, and me and my wife have been blessed, with some great children.
Oh, very blessed. I'm going to hit you with some trivia real quick, and then I'm going to go to the next question because it kind of leads in. Do you know which of Jalen's teammates also went to Kilgore?
His teammates?
One of Jalen Hurts' teammates.
Oh, you talking about NFL?
Yes.
You talking about Lane?
Lane.
Yeah, Lane used to play quarterback. Yeah, no, that's easy.
Easy money. Well, the reason why I brought up Lane, because we are obviously, I just did a story on Lane as well and his contribution still to Kilgore College. But one thing, we learned about Lane is, nobody was looking at him outside of high school other than Kilgore College. And he worked and he worked and he worked until he got to where he is today. A quote that sticks in my head that I heard Jalen Hurts say was, "Rent is due every day." And I think he's the poster child of that, obviously in the limelight and had to work each day, even on the national stage with people doubting him. I mean, where does he get that mindset from?
That's Jalen. Jalen's not afraid to work. Jalen understands that, nothing's given. You have to go out and work for it. And so he doesn't mind working. And rent is due every day every day you have to get up and go to work. You have to pay it every day. And it's going in and you're playing with your effort, with your work, and those things. And, that's just him.
Now, there's obviously no blueprint to raising a child, let alone a son who ends up in the Super Bowl. But I mean, if you could, to the young black dads out there who are raising their kids, in athletics or whatnot, what advice would you have, for those young black fathers?
Let your kid be a kid. Let him enjoy it and let him figure out if this is what he wants to do. Don't put him in something because that's what you want him to do. Let him do what he wants to do. And then when he makes that decision that it's what he wants to do or she wants to do, then you be there to exhaust and do things to help the situation or further the situation. We're in a time we're living in a time where there's too many parents living through their children and driving their kids. And I've had so many kids that, I'm like, baseball kid. And it's like, he played football. I'm like, hey, all right, baseball season. I'm gonna come watch you play. Nah, coach, I'm not playing. What you mean you're not playing? Coach, I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I've been playing since I was 5. Things like that. Well, that means you were doing it because of your parents, not because of you. And my thing is, I will never. I always had one rule: I don't make my kids decisions, and I don't force my kids to do anything. Now, if you tell me you want to do something, then I'm gonna give you the opportunities. Now it's on you, but you're not gonna come back as an adult and be like, if you didn't make me do this, I would have done that. Nah, I'm not taking the blame for it. I'm gonna help you. If it's a bad decision, I'll give you the information on why I don't agree with you. But I'm not gonna say, no, this is what we're gonna do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you as a coach, as a black man, as a strong black active father, have y'all had a conversation with Jalen about how big this moment is in black history?
No, we hadn't talked about it. I mean, I'll say that in my opinion, right now, it's more about him and his team, you know, and does he understand it? I'm pretty sure. But is it something that needs to be said? Nah, because at the end of the day, we have 2 black quarterbacks from the state of Texas that are gonna go play, and there's nothing to be said. Enough said, as they say.
Enough said, it's time to see what happens on that field.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes from East Texas, from White House, against Jalen Hurts. To those that say, because, Patrick Mahomes has been here before, obviously, Super Bowl winner, 5 straight AFC championship appearances. For those that say Jalen Hurts isn't on Patrick Mahomes' level, what do you have to say to those people?
No, I don't know them.
I love that.
No, Patrick is a talent. We met Patrick in Tyler at the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Player of the Year event.
Yes.
Jaden was a freshman. Patrick was coming out. And Coach Kingsbury was sitting next to me, and I knew him from when he was in Houston with Coach Sumlin. And we were talking, and he said, Coach, he's got unbelievable arm talent. And it's like, okay. And then once he got to the league, I saw it. I was like, whoa, he wasn't lying. So no, he's an unbelievable player, and great guy it seems, and parents did a great job, and kudos to them. And No, I mean, he's a heck of a talent. So, I mean, he's earned everything he's getting. As for a comparison, I mean, he just got here. Jalen, he wasn't supposed to be the starter. So, we'll see what happens. But I got one guarantee for the game.
What is
I
it?
can pick, I can pick the winner. I guarantee you the winner will be a black quarterback from Texas.
I love that. I love that. Love that. But let me make sure I heard that right. So Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes' first time ever meeting was in Tyler, Texas at the Earl Campbell Rose Awards. Wow. And now they're
We
meeting.
got
Go
we
ahead.
got all kind of blue ribbon sausage. Them Earl Campbell hot links, excuse me.
Those hot links, you put them in,
Oh
bread, throw some
man,
cheese on, put it in the microwave.
definitely.
Us Texas loves us some hot links. I mean, last question, I guess. Just watching y'all's story and watching Jalen's story and all the adversity he had to go through. Is this a testament to what it's like, and Patrick Mahomes as well? Is this a testament to what it's like to have, a strong black father, of course, but also a village, raising, these young men to become grown men?
You know, I don't. I'm not going to sit here and just say that as a father, the strong father that that makes that happen because my stepfather came to my life when I was 8. He raised me and did great. My mother, my mother was a different game. And that's what my mother was, is and so it's the village to raise a child. Yes, my coaches, the teachers, everyone that's impacted the kid in his life. You know, it's kind of like anyone that came around my former players that did great or did not do great. They all had an impact in it, in that growth. With him, and so it's just a case of he's just a different animal from the standpoint that things around him he soaks up.
You've watched his regular season games, but coming into the Super Bowl, what do you think what do you think your viewing experience with your heart rate, with your emotions, all that is going to be on Super Bowl Sunday?
That part I can't. I've been. That's a great question. I've been asked it. I have no idea. You get there, you enjoy the moment, but then once the ball is kicked off, then all I care about is I know what he wants out of it, and so then that's where my focus will go. I know what he wants out of it. Somebody say you gonna cry? I hope not. I don't. I can't say. Because I'm emotional, but I cried his first game in Dallas against USC, and that was a deal of people thinking, for all the naysayers saying he wasn't going to do this or that at Alabama, and I knew he was going to play, and so when he came in, I cried. Never cried again. Okay, so I can't say I ain't gonna cry with this one, but if I do, it's okay. It's okay for a strong black brother to show some emotions.
Absolutely, it sure is. I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, a black quarterback from Texas high school football is going to win a Super Bowl, and
Definitely.
definitely. Well, thank you so much for setting aside the time to talk to us, and I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's all for us with Coach Hurts from Channelview, Texas. Shout out to Texas high school football, East Texas. But hey, the greater Houston area as well. Thanks,
Oh
Coach.
no, look, hey, now you know better.